all the concern of the systems.
Hello.
Okay, I think there is some network issue from Dheeraj's side. He'll join in a while. So just give us 2 minutes.
Hello.
Sorry guys, I was just disconnected due to some network issue. For this purpose, we have today two very special guests with us. One is Mr. Rishabh Kaul sir, and another guest we have is Subramaniam sir. So first of all, I would like to just introduce both of them to you. So first, I would like to introduce Rishabh Kaul sir. He is working as a senior executive in Siemens Pune. Siemens is one of the leading companies. He's a great person with he's a person with great interest in Vedic literature. He's been working in this field since a long time. He's guiding peoples according to the Vedic literature. He's taking seminars in various colleges like IIT Bombay, COEP, VIT, and many more top-rated colleges. He has completed his BTech from VIT Pune, and he has been awarded many times for the customer satisfaction in his field. Another guest we have with us is Subramaniam sir. So I would like to just introduce him as well. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Professor Karthick Subramaniam sir, he is a dean in VIT Pune. He is also a central training and placement officer at VIT. He has been awarded for 12 consecutive years for his remarkable achievement in teaching. He has studied Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, and guiding many students and families according to that. So today they will be guiding us on why innocent peoples are affected due to where they don't have actually there any faults. So I would like to just request both of them to take over the charge.
Hello, good evening. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir, you're clearly audible.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the introduction. So, sir, would you like to start with any of your comments, or should I just start?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to, okay, first of all, hello and welcome everyone to today evening's discussion. Obviously, it's in the light of this Russia-Ukraine conflict and the stress that it causes in general to people, because you switch on the news and daily this is what is being shown in television, internet, everywhere. So that's exactly what we are here to discuss. And war is, if you see carefully in the recent times, there are so many other wars also that are happening. For example, Saudi Arabia has been bombing Yemen, which is going on, and China is always threatening to either attack
Taiwan,
Indian borders or Taiwan and such places. And we have our North Korea, which is quite unpredictable, and of course the biggest of all, the United States, who we never know which country they will enter to liberate them from suffering. Right? So this is the background of the world we are living, and hence this discussion.
Yeah. So as Ukraine has become the main flagship point in Moscow's relation with West, with the Russian troops now practically entering and bombarding, and they are on the border, and they are like taking over the whole of Ukraine now, at least one part of it that is called as Donbas. that's taken over, the Donetsk and the Luhansk that is already being taken over. So yeah, this is what we are at now. But like I was just interested to know that why Russia is wanting to take over Ukraine. So I don't know if how many of you know this or not, because so like 1991 they broke apart. So USSR was a big country, and it was broken into 15 parts, and one part which big part is Russia, which we see now, and the second big part is Ukraine. So what happened? The other parts, they are a member of NATO, and they NATO is with US, and what they say is that if any of the countries get attacked, other countries will come. So what is happening? If you see, practically Russia is being taken over from all sides by US, and now this Ukraine part was only remaining, and in 2018 in 2008 there was another pact which US wanted Ukraine to come to join NATO, but there were a lot of sanctions which Russia had it on Ukraine. So at that time, under the pressure, they couldn't go. But now in 2014, what happened, this Crimea, which is the down part of Ukraine, that was taken over by Russia because there were a lot of natural gases there. So that part is taken over by Russia. So now they wanted to show their hegemony, that we want to control it and not allow US to take over this part of the border, the big border with Ukraine. So yeah, this is a little background I wanted to share with all of you, and maybe more things we'll hear from sir. So sir, would you like to just comment more on these things to this?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, one important thing that comes to mind is, see, one needs to make friends with one's neighbor and not with somebody who is very far away. Okay, so this is a simple principle. So obviously, since Ukraine decided to make friends with the United States and join NATO, Russia perceived it as a threat. So there was a perception. Nothing had happened. Nobody had attacked Russia. But they started feeling that once these people join NATO, American troops will be sitting in Ukraine, and they will be sitting right at the border of Ukraine and Russia. So before anything like that happens, defense attack is the best means of defense, they say. They jumped into it. And that's why, if you carefully notice, our country, India, we have not taken sides in this war. Exactly. So this is also a very interesting point to learn. We have not taken sides for many reasons, which are also interesting to note. For example, first of all, whenever India was in the trouble in the past, this US and these people never helped us. Okay, so if you go back to the 1971 war of India, the liberation of Bangladesh, that time US and Britain were helping Pakistan. Though it was very clear that there were atrocities committed like anything in Bangladesh, especially on the Hindu community, but still these people, these Western forces were helping Pakistan. And at that time, it was only USSR that had actually helped India. And without them, certain things would have never happened. So that's one thing. And even in recent times, whenever India was attacked by China, or whenever Pakistan does this proxy war against us, through Kashmir and terrorism and all that, the West has never taken a very bold stand against it. In fact, Ukraine also doesn't take any stand against that. So that's why India thought, better why make enmity with a country who has helped us? So in fact, Russia has helped us a lot, if you see over the period of time. So
just adding to it, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was doing the atomic testing here, that time Ukraine was one country which was against India. Just adding to your points.
Yes, certainly, yeah. So Russia has been very good. Even now they are offering oil at a very concessional rate to India. So so many ways. So it's good that India has taken a neutral stand. We can't take sides because, see, it's like this. Russia, certainly they have a reason to be concerned, but at the same time, the way they are attacking, that also cannot be justified. It's like, bombing cities and so much of destruction that is happening to so many innocent people who are there. So we cannot also say that, yes, this is necessary, such a war is necessary, where so many innocent people have to die. So I think that brings us to a very interesting point, which maybe you would like to talk on or ask about, one nature of modern wars being that civilians get affected a lot.
Exactly. So yeah, adding to like, I'll take one point which you were mentioning before, and then this main point we will surely be taking. One point which you were telling, that nothing had happened from Ukraine side. They only had it in their mind that something could happen. So I just remember back in 2016 there was one girl in IIT Bombay. So for 7 semesters she topped the college and she was rank 1. And in the 8th semester, just 2 days before her result, she thought that I'll not come first this time, and she committed a suicide. And 2 days later, it was revealed that she was a topper. So why such a thing happens? It's surely at a country level, but why does it happen at our level and then eventually at country level? So this would be my first question, and then later surely I'll ask. So maybe you can proceed ahead with this.
Yeah, see, I think at the individual level, things are very different. See, at individual level, I mean, the example that you gave of this girl who doubted that she would come first and committed suicide, obviously that was insane. But not extrapolate logic to a country. See, because when it comes to a country, to be more careful and guarded, you risk of has a great impact on the people. Are you understanding? So, for example, Russia is afraid that these people could come and attack and do something. The risk of that happening is not for an individual. So for an individual level, one could be more on here. One needs to overcome it with this. But when it comes to a nation, it's but natural that they are more guarded. That's my thought. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, and my second point, like this surely is one question, that why there are so many innocent people which are in the name themselves two countries, they are getting affected in this war. So this is my first part of the question, and in the second part is there were wars in previous times also, and that time how would the kings take care that the innocent people were not killed? So yeah.
See, even if when you take previous times, even if you see in medieval times in India, for example, if we read about Indian history about Battle of Panipat, Battle 1, Battle 2, Battle 3, the battle was fought in Panipat between the two armies, right? And the common man had to pay a tax to whoever governed them. See, what happened is, in modern times we have these weapons like bombs, which are just thrown in a particular city, which tends to be densely populated, affecting large volume of people. Okay, so the weaponry has also changed in modern times.
Yeah.
See, in previous times, even till 500 years back, let's say even when Shivaji Maharaj was fighting the Sultanate and Afzal Khan and all these people, basically the fighting was hand to hand, either with swords and things like that. So obviously the common man, of course, it's likely that a brute oppressor would be the king. Then they would, either try to convert people and trouble them. That is a different issue. But they wouldn't fight the common man. That is very clear, because the weapons were like that. But today's weapons are completely different. If you see, for example, America in 2003, when they attacked Iraq, saying that they have chemical weapons. Now, see, that time, one thing also interesting about this war, why we should not take side, is because of the hypocrisy of the West. At least the West, especially the United States, they have no right to lecture anybody. If you remember, after this, the Twin Towers crashed, they said that Iraq has chemical weapons. And mind you, they never found even one chemical weapon in Iraq. Right? It was just a reason to attack them. And how did they attack? They would go to the coastal region and they would bomb. They bombed the city or the country, and then move in only for what they call as cleanup operations. So that means you have literally bombed the whole country, and then you just go in and catch some politicians and execute them, like they caught Saddam Hussein. I'm not saying Saddam Hussein was a great guy. Obviously, he had his own set of limitations, and he had his own deeds that he did. But the thing is, the US is never a saint. So why I'm making this point is, see, again, because the primary world media is the Western media, the Western Europe and America. So they keep, for example, putting sanctions on Russia today. Was there any sanction on United States? No. I mean, what all they did in the last 20 years. Right? So this hypocrisy of the West is something that we need to really point out. They are very hypocritical in their approach. Right. Okay. Now coming back to the point. So the weaponry has changed in modern times, and this is really a cause of concern because of this nature of weapons. You just bomb an entire country and then go in and do cleanup operations. So innocent people get killed in large numbers. So this is the problem. Now, answering the second question, why this is happening. See, now we could analyze that at several levels. But I think one important thing we need to know, as a lesson for all of us is that we are responsible for the leadership that is governing us. Okay, so let's be very clear about it. See, most countries in the world are democratic, right? Including Ukraine, right? So they have a democratic system. We are responsible for whom we elect as our leaders. And we cannot wash away our hands, because see, ultimately, whoever is the leader is representing the collective consciousness of the country.
Absolutely.
Okay, at least in the modern democratic setup. So we are responsible for the fellow we elected. We elect somebody, whoever is, with whatever skill sets he has, and then what he now, for example, I will tell you, not only Ukraine, many countries, what they do, unfortunately, they use human beings as shield also. Please remember that they use human being and the local population as a shield.
Has done to Indians
show
also.
The world, just to show the world that this country is killing so many humans just to protect themselves. Okay, so see, this is very risky actually. So it's not only that Russia is killing the Ukrainian civilians, but many of these countries, they are using their own civilians, by motivating them in so many ways to do this, right? Okay, so the path of dialogue should never be given up. See, this is something, again, if you go back to our Mahabharata, we understand that very clearly. Where before the war between the Pandavas and Kauravas, Krishna said that we should try for peace. So the path of dialogue is very, very important. Okay, only when dialogue completely fails and there is absolutely no, chance of anything else, then this whole question comes. So I think this is, again, every party is responsible if dialogue fails, and if dialogue fails, let me tell you, both parties have a role in it. Okay, so that's also a concern.
Yeah. So like what I was asking is why innocent people get involved in this. One point which you surely told, that leadership, but still as a normal human being, he will think that as an emotional being, one thinks that why he's getting killed, why children who are not electing somebody. So
okay, that's what. So there are 2-3 ways in which we look at this whole thing. So in our scriptures, we call it the Adhyatmik, Ati Bhautik, Ati Devik way of looking at issues. Okay, maybe it's a little technical, but it's very simple to understand. Adhyatmik means from the self perspective. मतलब मेरे self के perspective से. Okay. Ati Bhautik means from the perspective of society, country, the group of people. And Adi Devik means, it is more related to, the influence
calamities
of, it's related to the influence of, for example, astrology, we say, right? I mean, if you see, many astrologers also in recent times, they speak about how certain astrological formations are such that at that particular time, the entire group of people get influenced by a particular negative energy where they start fighting without any reason. And later sanity prevails and people start feeling that, hey, we should not have fought only. Are you getting it? So there is this whole thing also. Adi Devik means at the level of the cosmic laws, or something like that. So coming to the point. So from Adhyatmik, from a personal perspective, I mean, not only war, whenever I undergo any difficult situation, our scriptures teach us that we should take responsibility for it. That is, we should feel that, yes, I have done something in the past because of which I've landed in this mess. Okay, so this is at a very personal level, mind you. This cannot be used for you to tell someone else. Okay, so for example, it is like, if in a country people are starving due to famine, an individual may feel, maybe it was my mistake in the past because of which I landed in this situation where I'm starving. But the government cannot say that. hey, it was your past activities due to which you're starving now. No, from the government perspective, it's a duty to set it right. Okay, so the perspective changes. So the point I'm trying to make is at a very individual level, whenever we undergo any trouble, some situation in their life, first thing is we need to understand that I have certainly done something in the past because of which I landed in this mess today. Okay, so then you start taking responsibility for it. Okay, then you see how you will start, how you will obviously come out of it, and how you will behave in ways that would not invite such kind of trouble in the future. Okay, so this is broadly what we call as a theory of karma. So this is at adhyatmic level, at the personal level. At the society level, I already told you.
Yes.
We need to be cautious about the kind of people we rule,
People.
right? I mean, you select the wrong leader, you're in trouble. Okay, I remember several years back, there was one politician who was the defense minister of India. In the parliament, he said that we don't construct good roads in the Ladakh area so that China will, otherwise China can capture those roads and use it. He actually said it. I mean, this is such a ridiculous statement. You Google, you will find it out. The defense minister of the country is saying in the Lok Sabha, it was I think 2013 or something, you can Google and find out. He said that we will not construct good roads so that, we will not have good infrastructure. Otherwise, if we have good infrastructure, China can take it over. My God, what a logic. So the thing is, that is a collective fault of people to elect such a joker to make him the defense minister of your country, who is saying in the Lok Sabha this fact. Okay, so this is Ati Bhautik, right? So increasingly, see what is happening, I will tell you, world over, not only in this UK, in many places nowadays, somebody who's a comedian, who's a film star, right? In India also it happens in many places. Such people
Yes.
get elected. So basically, see, as citizens, we also need to have some sense whom we elect, right? What is your, is it that anybody can become, the ruler of a country? Do you have any background in governance? Nothing is seen, right? Unfortunately, this happens in our country also. It happens in many other countries also. It happens. So this is all Ati Bhautik. That means at a social level, there is no awareness only of what kind of leaders we want. Okay, so then you fall into trouble because that's what you have elected. That's what you elected. So that's what you get. Look at Israel. Look at Israel. Look at their systems, right? They are just such a small population of Jews sitting in the middle of crores of Arabs. But look at their collective consciousness, Ati Bhautik. Collectively look at how they look at, right? Nobody
Yeah.
can touch them. Unka baal koi baka nahi kar sakta.
Just 70 lakh people.
Yeah, 70 lakh people sitting in the middle of crores of their enemies, their sworn enemies. But you see, that's the collective consciousness, right? So you have to give credit to that. So when you don't have that collective consciousness, you pay a price. This is Ati Bhautik. Then there is Adi Devik. See, that is because of cosmic law itself. Time to time, such calamities happen, and the world undergoes this creation, maintenance, destruction. So people get influenced by what we technically called as tamasic nature. Tamasic nature means this lower nature because of which they unnecessarily quarrel and cause a lot of destruction. So at 3 levels, you can see this, why this is happening.
This was an amazing. Somebody's mic is on.
Yeah, somebody's mic is on. I think they need to be muted. Whoever.
Yeah, can you just mute it? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So that was an amazing explanation, and yeah, some things to take from here is that if a country doesn't have a good leadership, surely no one will help. As we saw in the case of Ukraine, everyone, US is like wanting Ukraine to come to NATO, and this time nobody is helping. And on a personal level also, I think if we don't have a good membership, mentorship, it's very difficult in today's time to just proceed in our lives to achieve whatever we just want to do in our life. So this was one good lesson which I took it from you. And one thing which you touched upon was you mentioned as a law of karma, right? So like what I have heard when I was small also, that like many times we see in our lives also, and in my friends and relatives, that and recently something in which happened with my family, this is a common question for all of us, that why bad thing happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. So this was one point, and second point which again came from your talk was, why war at all? So yeah, these are my two questions for you.
Yeah, I'll take the second one first. Why war at all? So first of all, we need to be very realistic about life. War is a reality. Okay. So if you see, there are 4 activities which every living being will do. What the Mahabharata calls as ahara, nidra, bhaya, maituna. That means we eat, we have to eat. Okay. Eating includes all kinds of inputs that goes into the body. Sleeping, nidra. Then there is maituna. That is, everyone likes to family life. You like association of the opposite sex, enjoyment, pleasures for the body. And the 4th thing is called defending. See, defending is very, very natural to a human being. Not only to a human being, any creature wants to defend, right? Whether the cat is defending her kitten,
Yes.
right? Whether the bees are defending, okay. Similarly, in gated societies, we have security guards to defend our society so that nobody just comes in. So defending is a very natural thing. So war is coming from that only, right? So when there is a war, when you see that your defense, there is some problem in it, right? So you are afraid that you will be attacked, okay, or whatever. So at that point of time, there is a war. So we have to first of all understand that war was always there in human history. It is there. It will continue to be there always. Okay. I was in fact interestingly hearing some very famous astrologers who are predicting a major war in the next 10 years, around 2030, 31. Anyway, that's a side point. But the point is, war is always going to be there. That's the reality of this world. Okay. Yeah, but the thing is, now the Mahabharata, now again, if you go back to the Mahabharata, it teaches us something very nicely. Krishna, when the Pandavas, when were they in their forest for, we all know the basic story of the Mahabharata, right? The Kauravas had cheated the Pandavas of their land and had sent them to the forest. They were in the forest for 12 years plus 1 year in hiding. And after that, they were supposed to get their share of kingdom. Okay. But this Duryodhana and the party of Kauravas, they refused to give that back to the Pandavas. They said, we are not going to give you. Okay, so Krishna goes as the peace messenger from the side of the Pandavas to the Kauravas. And when he goes, he tells Yudhishthir actually, I will try 4 things. He said that we should always try Sama, Dama, Beda, and then Danda. So Danda is war. But he said that we should never directly do Danda. First, Sama. That means first go and speak very politely. What is your problem? Okay. Now, if you see carefully also in this war, I really feel that just by Sama also this war can be avoided. Russia, if this Ukraine gives a commitment that they will not join NATO, which is a very reasonable commitment from Russia perspective, right?
Absolutely.
See, NATO has been created to cause trouble to Russia. Okay,
Exactly.
very simple. Everybody knows this geopolitics. NATO has been created by America and Britain to cause trouble in Russia. So these people say we will surely join not NATO. Half the problem will be solved. This is called Sama. First you talk properly, solve the problem. So Krishna did that. Krishna went to the Kauravas and said, hey, look, the deal of the gambling match was what? These people should go 13 years to the forest. Ho gaya na wo sab. So now what is the problem? Okay. So Sama. Then if Sama doesn't work, then Dama. That means you tempt a person with something. You tempt a person. That's what Krishna did. Krishna told Duryodhana, give 5 villages to the Pandavas. Now imagine, whole country is there. Bharat was whole India. 5 villages, he said. Give only this one. So it's a Dama, right? It's beneficial. Okay. Beneficial. Monetarily, it is very beneficial, right? You just give 5 villages and rest everything you keep with you. Okay. So similarly, in any war also there is Dharma, right? I'm sure if Ukraine would sit with Russia and talk about, even because money is ultimately the moving thing in every, right? Money moves everything, right? So with, some business deal is struck properly, then half the problems are getting solved in that. Okay. So Dharma. Then there is Veda. Veda means you cause dissension. Okay. Krishna did that. So Krishna went to the after when Duryodhana rejected the proposal, he told Karna, why don't you come to our side? That is called Veda. Matlab divide Karna. Okay. So that has already happened in this Ukraine case. So imagine when this Ukraine was relying on all these other fellows, they will come and fight. Nobody is fighting for them. Okay. So this is called Veda. You divide the enemy population, right? So because in that also then somebody will think that, okay, so this was the problem with Karna. See, imagine had Karna come to the Pandava side, in fact, Krishna tells him also that you are Pandava's elder brother. What are you sitting here and doing with this fellow? Come this side, So that is Veda. But when that also doesn't succeed, then you are left with Danda only. That is war. And that is what Krishna comes back and tells Yudhishthira. I tried Sama, Dama, Veda. Nothing worked. only danda. If you go to the Ramayana also, Lord Ram does the same thing with Ravan. First there is Sama. He is sending Hanuman, he is sending Angad, he is sending messengers. Sama, peacefully kar do yaar kaam, baat khatam. Okay. Then Veda also he did. Vibhishan came to Ram's side. So uska power, ye divide ho gaya na power. So basically, so the thing is, one should always try. In Ramayana and Mahabharata, this point is very clear. One should always try for peace. One should try काम में problem solve हो जाए, negotiation से बात हो जाए. But unfortunately, there are some. See, one thing we have to remember: for peace, you need two people. One person cannot give peace. For any relationship, you need two people, like a husband and wife. Both people have to be ready for a nice relationship. Even if one party is determined to fight, then it will go to the court only. Because two people are involved in a relationship, whether it is countries or whether it is individuals. Okay, so like that. Okay, so ultimately it goes to danda when nothing else works. So that's why war happens. That's the point. So war is unavoidable, and we would never agree. And sometimes wars are actually necessary also. You need to fight it out, right? I mean, otherwise the opposite party will take you for granted. You need to show your teeth also at times. Right? You need to give a strong response to the enemy. I mean, just imagine. Let's look at our Indian politics also. In the last 6-7 years, touch wood, by God's grace, we did not have any major, all these, big bomb blasts, this Pakistani fellows coming and, doing all this, like 9/11 happened. Why it stopped? Because the current government has showed they attacked in that Pathankot in February 2019. Immediately there was Balakot, airstrike. Uri was there when they attacked in that place, right? So basically, Uri. And then later Balakot also. Basically, that means you have to show your enemy that, see, you will touch me. That's what we have to learn from Israel. Very important. The modern lesson is Israel only. Israel is a modern guru. एक बार निकाला तो 10 बार निकाल देंगे फिर. Then only you will understand that don't touch us unnecessarily. And that is required for necessary. So let's be very clear about it. Though we don't like it, nobody wants war, but unfortunately that is the reality. Yeah. What was the other thing that you said? I forgot. There was one thing that you said, right, about why war.
Yeah,
there
why
was
war,
that
and
you had said. I think I got
I was asking that on a personal level. I also feel that this is a question from a long time, and when I was a child, and recently something happened in my family, that why bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. Why do we see this happening?
Okay, see,
and just going to this, before this question, I just want to just say that you told the good points why the war is necessary, but also it is seen that when we want our identity to dominate on others, maybe nationalhood, maybe race, maybe religion, maybe caste, creed, individuality, when we want it to dominate to others, that is, and when we have a self interest in that, then just to dominate my feeling over other, that time also war happens. So how will you tell about this part of war?
Okay, good point. See, that's why now we need to understand the Indian psyche in war. The Indian psyche in war now was never about this brutal, this American style war which is there, right? Which you just go anywhere, everywhere, the Western side. This whole British imperialism. The European countries, they went to some other places, conquered, killed, ruled over them. This was never supported in our scriptures. Please remember this. So we need to understand that. Like if you see the Mahabharata also, when they do things like, when the Pandavas go to different places. So there was never like one person was the emperor of the whole world. Like nowadays, like America wants to be the emperor, or previously Britain wanted to be the emperor of the whole world. That's why India would never unnecessarily, go and kill people and rule over another place. At best, what they would do is they would just ensure. So even when there was a fight, even like for example, you see Yudhishthir and Bhim, they killed this fellow called Jarasandh. If you know the history of that, right? Jarasandh was the king of Magad, Bihar. But even when he was killed, please remember, Yudhishthir did not become the king of Magad. The dead Jarasandha's son, whose name was Sahadev, he only became the king. So why did they fight with that Magad fellow? Because that fellow was causing problem to Hastinapur. So that was the geopolitics that time, right? Okay. So this Jarasandha was causing a lot of problem for Hastinapur. He was always their enemy. and causing trouble in various ways. And that's why, Ekalavya was also from Magad. That's why Ekalavya was not taught by Drona. So this was another politics in it. Okay. The point is, when the Pandavas, when they killed Jarasandha, they did not rule over that place. They made that fellow's son only the king. And this was the norm, mind you. You would never go. And so this whole thing of going and ruling over other lands was actually in today's world started by these European fellows and these Arabic people. They only started because they wanted to, and all that was in the name of religion on top of all that, right?
Yeah.
Because in the name, they wanted to expand their religion to other places. Bhagwan ke naam pe, they were going to other places and, ruling, killing those people and just imposing themselves on them. So this was never allowed, firstly. Okay, so war was an act of self-defense or something, but you could never do this. You could never just go and rule over. So this is the first thing. Coming to the other point, about why bad things happen to good people or good things happen to bad people, I would like to tell two things here first. Sometimes when we undergo some suffering, one basic point I would like to make here is everyone in this world gets their share of good and bad. This whole thing, because the human nature is to imagine also too much suffering on oneself. In general, I mean, let's put the war aside. Generally, we tend to think that I am the only victim. So victimhood is also a human psyche in some ways, where we think unnecessarily a little too much that I was only affected and everybody else is happy in the world. Lekin aisa nahi hota, so we need to understand this world itself is such that everybody is put into challenges. Just that everybody's challenges come at different times. Okay. So one thing is the theory of karma. So let's discuss something about that because that is also helpful over here. So the theory of karma, please remember, is not fatalistic. It is not something like ye hona hai to ye, so this is, see, karma basically creates an environment. Let's remember that it creates an environment. How you will act in that environment, it is up to you. Okay, so that's why our Bhagavad Gita and our scriptures talk of these two things simultaneously. One is called karma and one is called free will. So karma creates an environment. So let's say this corona pandemic was. This was an environment. This was a collective karma of the world. Ki corona aa gaya sabke upar. Now, but the thing is, so that is karma, collective karma of the world, because of something like this happened. But then again, if you see, everybody was not affected by it in the same way. Correct. So it also depends on who you are, how much, how you have taken care of your health, whatever, right? Correct. No? So basically how careful you have been, even during the corona time, to follow all those restrictions, were you too casual about it? And in general, whether you have worked to take care of your health or have you been casual about it? So the point is, karma is an environment. It puts us in an environment. Okay, what I do in that environment will decide my next thing. Okay, so that's why our scriptures are not fatalistic in a sense that they say that this has to happen. That's why even if you go to an astrologer, they can never exactly predict exactly what will happen. They can predict good times, bad times. They can say that this will be a good time for you to get married. But that doesn't mean that you will get married in that time, then you will not have to work only to ensure successful marriage. No, you will have to fight it out. Or they may say that this is a bad time to start a business, which means that maybe you start a business, the chance of, different troubles
succeeding
would be a little bit more. So my point is, karma is an environment it puts us in. But what we do in that environment is our choice. And I think that we need to emphasize on this choice aspect because the whole principle of karma is mainly from a reflection perspective. It's for us to,
retrospection.
Something has already happened. Then I look back and understand, well, it was my karma that it had to, it was my destiny that something like that had to happen. But it is not for deciding my future course of action. I mean, that would be very foolish for somebody to say that in future, this is what my karma is going to be. I'm going to get rich, so I can just sit back and relax and money will come and fall in my house. No, that is never going to happen. Or
a young person may say that it's in my destiny to be poor, so I won't work only.
Yeah. So karma is a circumstance. It puts you in various circumstances. The circumstances may be challenging. The circumstances may be very suitable, very favorable. Lekin favorable circumstance में भी काम तो करना पड़ेगा ना. काम तो करना पड़ेगा, तभी मिलेगा तुमको फल उसमें. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
So this is something that we have to remember, and everybody gets their due. So we need not. So this whole thing. So I would never say that, you know, the so-called bad guy, you know, he's getting his share of karma. We need not worry about that at all. He will get it at his right time. Maybe it will take a little more time to mature or whatever, but once it comes, it will come. So I think that everyone is facing, right. So this point is important. Yeah.
And just adding one point to what previously you were sharing, I recently read a beautiful article where I got to know that Max Muller was sent to India to change our texts and present in such a way that we think that these, as you were telling about dominating of our identity based on maybe religion or whatever other things. So yeah. So, and my next question to you would be that how long will this even last, and when will this world finally become a beautiful and a peaceful place?
Well, see, I think we should not have too much of a romantic idea about the world being such a peaceful place that there will only be love and no war and all that. I think that's never
Bollywood.
going to happen. No, that's never going to happen. The reality is somewhere in the middle, where conflict can be minimized by responsible leadership, responsible society. Okay, we all have a responsibility. See, we can't simply blame the government. We need to remember that. We all have a responsibility. We are part of it. It's you and me who have elected whoever is sitting on top of us, right? So we have that collective responsibility, which we should never forget, right? And I think that part is more important and to be emphasized. And the world is going to be peaceful in your inner world. That means we can work. For example, if someone takes to spirituality and progresses in that direction, one's inner world can become very peaceful. That is possible. Okay, by yoga, meditation, by dhyan, by prayer, my inner world can become peaceful and strong. But the outer world is going to remain the way it is, because that involves the dynamics of billions of people, right? So how can that be completely at peace when it's almost guaranteed that everybody is not going to be like that? Okay. So I think here there are two things. One is working towards inner peace, which we all must do. That is why our scriptures always talk about the importance of spirituality in a person's life, because that is something which we can, every individual can practice for inner world peace. But in external world, you would have to ensure the right systems in place so that you can have peace. Simple thing I'll tell you, even this Ukraine could have been saved with all this. You know how? You go back to the history when USSR split and Ukraine was formed in 1994, they had some nuclear facility, nuclear weapon.
Yeah, yes.
But
Absolutely.
Russia and
They gave it to
America,
Russia.
Russia and America convinced them. Russia, NATO and America convinced them, US. They said, don't worry, give up your nuclear weapons. हम लोग तुमको संभालेंगे. This is very dangerous. You cannot give the responsibility. See, now this is another way of learning it. You can't give your responsibility to somebody else to take care. You know, you take care of me. You know, the big brother taking care. बहुत dangerous है big brother. Big brother कुछ नहीं करने वाला तुम्हारे लिए. So now we see, right? So the same Russia attacked it. And this America and NATO, they are simply sitting outside and watching the fun. And they are imposing sanctions on Russia, which has no meaning only actually. You know, they are saying actually the whole Europe is dependent on Russia for gas.
Yes.
You're an instrumentation engineer. You know what I'm talking about, right? For natural gas, if Russia stops supplying natural gas, Europe is already having a devastating, severe problem of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, they are simply putting sanctions which are all meaningless. कुछ मतलब नहीं है उसका. So this is another lesson, right? So you can have peace externally only when you're strong. Only when you're strong, you can have peace. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. So if
you're
a country
not strong, how will you have peace? Yeah,
absolutely. If a country or personally also at individual level, if we are weak and we don't have good friends, then how many pacts you join, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Yeah, this was nice. So at this moment, I would just like to open the panel for everyone so that they may ask their own questions.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ayush. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Good evening, Rishabh sir. Good evening, SB sir. Firstly, thank you for this amazing session. There was actually a lot to learn from this. But my question regarding this Russia and Ukraine crisis is that the neutral stance which we know India is taking, is it actually neutral considering the hypocrisy of the US and NATO and EU? Is it actually neutral, and how will it impact the geopolitical relationships of India with the West?
Yeah, good question. In one sense, let me tell you one thing: there is nothing like neutral. If you see very carefully now, neutral means you tilt on one side only, and it's very clear that India doesn't want to mess its relation with Russia. And why should we mess it up? As I told you, they helped us. They helped us in our 1971 war with Bangladesh. From that time, they're helping us.
Yeah,
Even
from
today, the
starting.
60%
Even today.
exports.
Yes. With Russia, we never had any problem. So there is no point in unnecessarily making enmity with them. And the reason why these people are fighting also, though we may not agree with the way in which it is happening, and obviously we feel bad for so many, millions of Ukrainian citizens who are unnecessarily facing the brunt of all this. So we may not agree with that, but I think the Indian government has no business to make enemy with Russia, who is our friend. And also, there is some justification in what they did, though the way we may not support completely. So that's why we can't even openly say that we are supporting the war. See, because the way it is happening, right? They are just bombing the cities, and right, so many innocent people are getting killed. So that part is very difficult for us to openly kind of support. But at the same time, we don't want to make enemies with them. So I think the Indian government did a brilliant thing where officially we are just abstaining from all the voting.
And
in the
just
United Nations
adding
Security
one.
Council and not doing anything about it.
Yeah, just adding one point here. Even if you see in that terms, actually Ukraine is helping Pakistan. They gave the T-84 tanks, and now also recently, 2018, they also are giving some other tanks for them to Pakistan. And even India had told them that not to give these tanks this time, because previously they have been used against India, but still they refused, and they did this pact.
Yeah. So we have our own definition of neutrality. I agree with you. Yeah.
The way the things are going on in the past 1.5 year, first the Taliban, now this Ukraine thing, I don't think US will keep quiet, because like it will assume that India is somehow aiding Russia. Like
Yeah, they know
I,
it.
I personally, like, they are being friends with Russia and like that.
You
I
see,
think.
that is why, if you try to understand, India will have to grow. We'll have to grow economically. We will have to grow militarily. We will have to grow. See, I'll tell you simple things. Even during this vaccination, had our, fortunately we were saved due to India, this Bharat Biotech and this Model,
True.
thing, right? Otherwise, imagine relying on that Pfizer and Moderna. My goodness, American drug companies would have looted us only, left, right, center. Right. See, basically, this is so important to be self-reliant. If you go back to the 1970s, there were times when we did not have food. Our prime ministers and others would beg for wheat from America. And even for this nuclear programs and all, we would actually beg initially technology and all that. So I think this is very important for us to grow as a country. We have a long way to do, but we have some advantages also. One is that I really have a lot of hope on this solar thing, because I may be sounding too optimistic about it, but honestly, I really believe that by 2030, if the way in which our solar, this renewable energy production is increasing, if it increases at that pace, and we really achieve that 50 to 70% what they're talking, right, by 2030, which seems very reasonable now. If you read the data about the solar, the renewable energy production in India, these things are all very important. It's very important for the country to grow economically, to grow in terms of energy. Energy is the thing, right? It's all oil, because of which we are begging these fellows and our foreign exchange we are losing and all that, right? So,
Yeah.
so I think we have a long way to go. I mean, if you see our history, it's like, I mean, we all know about it. I don't want to go into that so
We've
much.
come a long
but,
way.
yeah, we have come a
Yeah.
long way. I mean, from 1947, we were 1% of the world GDP, which was like in 1700, 23%. We crashed to 1%, and now slowly we are coming up, right? I think, you know, see, in some ways, even this over protection by government isn't good. I mean, if you think about it carefully, right? See, for some reason in the 1950s and 60s, this overly socialistic perspective where business was not encouraged and everything is like, you know, the government will be the my-bop of everyone, right? This actually discouraged people from doing good. See, you need to encourage people to grow in life, because if the individual grows, society grows. If society grows, country grows. Correct? If
Absolutely.
individual doesn't grow, if you keep everything under government only, and
Free.
individual is, yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Absolutely. And recently we saw also this the Google Pay and all these apps getting banned in Russia. So at least we have our own network and our systems here.
Yeah, yeah,
Even-
UPI system, UPI, this United, right? Otherwise, if you're
Payments.
relying only on this Visa, MasterCard, and American companies, my God, you're a slave to them. It's very dangerous. You can never depend on these Western fellows.
Even the
They
biggest
are
OTT
very,
platform,
yeah,
the Netflix, is banned in Russia now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody else has any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
First of all, good evening, everyone. So, my question is like, we are in the good books of everyone, right? We have bought the S-400 defense system from USSR, and like Indian medical students are going to Ukraine and doing their MBBS in cheaper fares, and we are also in the books of NATO states. So, like, being in friendly relationship with everyone sometimes makes it difficult to take decisions, right? So, what is your opinion that what India should make as a decision which is safe, legit, and the decision which is defensive in our terms also?
Yeah, good point. See, that's why if you remember, our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, made this point in terms of Ukraine, that it is very sad that we have not increased our education system properly. See, in India, what has happened?
Yes, sir.
Engineering education has fortunately, we have sufficient engineering education in India. In fact, I would say a little too much. Right? We have so many colleges offering engineering, but medical we don't have. There are so
Yes,
many
sir.
good
Absolutely.
students who want to do medicine, but they are not getting opportunity. The Prime Minister did make this point that government is creating aims and all that, but private players also should come in and we should encourage it. See, the whole problem, India for almost 50, 60 years, this red tape bureaucracy that we had, right? License Raj, which continued for so many years after independence. This really, I really believe that it killed the entrepreneurship ability in a man, right? Because when you put so much red tape, you want to buy land. So reforms are very important. See, reforms are very important for a government. Unless there are reforms, things will not grow. Otherwise, even 20 years back, to buy land in India was so complicated, right? So that's why Tata had gone to West Bengal, if you remember, for their nano plant, and they had to run away from there. Right, because this is not how you run a country where so much of red tapeism is there and so much of morcha and looking at the industrialist as an enemy. You cannot do that. You have to understand the industrialist, the capitalist who allows people to grow. He is becoming rich, but he's making other people also wealthy, right? In that
Employment is
employment and people are becoming. So crony capitalism is a different thing, but at least. So, but the thing is, so that's the point that I want to tell in this connection. I hope it makes sense. Yeah.
So we have one question in the chat, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to complete it. So we are not taking sides because we are taking, as you rightly said, military help from Russia. Our students are going to Ukraine, but I think the long-term answer to this is actually to become as self-reliant as possible. Both in the military sense and honestly, if you watch the news nowadays, at least they've started doing a lot of military purchase within India itself. You know, that militaries, whatever they need, the manufacturing parts of that and all that. So that's a very good step. And similarly, education. It's very sad actually to see so many young people having to go to Ukraine, and that unfortunately, if you see, that education quality is also very substandard. Honestly, it's not really up to the mark. Most of the students who go to Ukraine, they come back, they don't even pass the exam which our Indian government has. If you read the news, you would know that they don't pass that exam because that education is very, very substandard. So it's very saddening actually. So all this has to improve. As a country, we have to go ahead and all this.
Yeah. So, and both the things are very good in Israel, as you were telling. Everyone is educated there. Yeah.
Excuse me,
So,
sir. So, sir, basically, you want to say that we have to take Atmanirbhar seriously in a nutshell.
Yes, of course.
yes.
Atmanirbhar is important as an individual level. At the individual level, I have to be Atmanirbhar.
And then
at
it
a
will
social
eventually grow.
level, at a national level, family level. Yes, it is very important.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you look
Sure.
at Israel. I remember several years back, one of the Israel, I think Prime Minister, one of their ministers, they said that, they use drip irrigation for their agriculture. Pani, boond bachate wo log. He was saying like, in India, you people have so much water, you are just wasting it because you don't have systems to capture every, drop of rain. See, these people in Israel, they are not just living in the middle of enemies. Even from nature perspective, it's like a desert area, right? It's, by and large, that area doesn't have so much rain and all that. So they use, so all the systems. So we need that. We really need that. Right? We need to be Atmanirbhar in every level. And fortunately, the geography of our country is very good. Please understand. We are in a tropical climate, which is actually very good. See, this Europe will never do research in solar so much. They have only light, right? They don't have heat. Correct. Unlike India, we have a good, every time it's hot only, always 40 degrees or whatever. It's very natural for Indians to be in that. Right. We have a very good geography, sea on three sides. We have a lot of advantages as a country. I think we need to, and as a civilization, we are the only civilization which is continuing since God knows when. Correct? It's an undated civilization that Indians are having. We need to understand that. And our civilization was the most secular civilization. Please remember, we have to be proud of it. Who is the West to teach us about secularism? They had to have secularism because they had a religion which was controlling their state. If you see Europe till the 15th century, the Pope would dictate what everybody would do. If some scientist had to say something against the Pope, they would burn them at the stake. So they had to come up with this whole idea of secularism, state or religion ko alag rakho. In India, that was never a problem. If you look at Hinduism in a broad sense, even someone who is an atheist like Charvak, he has his own set of philosophy and he's not killed for that. There is a debate. You may you may debate on issues, but this whole question that if you don't believe in my way of understanding God, then you go to hell and you have to be killed. This is not there in our civilizational text. We need to be proud of that, remember, because this is all connected. We have a civilization which is, as I told you, which is actually very rational and scientific, which is not narrow-minded and saying that you can
this way
understand
or that
God
way
only through our way. See, because the whole West is based on that, right? You understand God only through their prophet, only through their way. Hamara system mein waisa tha nahi. That's why I'm saying that our system was inherently secular.
that was an amazing point. So we have one question in the chat. Sir, how would you describe the role of Ukrainian people? They voted for a comedian just to remove a pro-Russian president.
Okay, see, this is why, so you need good people in politics. We need good people who are actually suitable, for that political role. So the politician should not be a puppet of another country, nor he should be a person without. I'm not necessarily saying that a comedian or a film actor cannot be a president, but the objection is nowadays what is happening in the democratic system. Unfortunately, such a person has a lot of popular vote. He's popular, so he's flamboyant. He's flamboyant, and he stands on a ticket and he wins. But nobody has really bothered to see whether he has adequate experience, whether he has the, simple things like let's take a simple example. Like in India, unfortunately, most of us get fooled by freebies in election. Like I'm a Tamil person in Tamil Nadu, where I come from. in every election, these parties, what they do, they give free things. One party will give mixer to everybody, mixer. Another party will give something else, some other gift, household, some pressure cooker. Actually, see, the problem is citizens are also so stupid. We should understand, stop all this free business and give me with all because that money is not coming from your pocket. Oh, hamara hi tax tum humko
Tax
ullu
money.
bana ke de rahe ho, and you are taking a big loot in that. Why don't you improve the whole infrastructure, improve the education, improve? Even today, India has a lot of money. That's what I'm saying, right? So, unfortunately, our people also need the maturity, right? If your politician tells you, I will give you free electricity, free this, I don't want free. I'm ready to pay. I want good service. I want good schools for my children. I want top class educational institutes for my children. I want good hospitals. I'm ready to pay and buy. But so the citizens also have to be mature to come to that level to say that. But if the citizens are saying that humko free sab chahiye, fokat ka sab do, then we will get such a comedian only as our president or chief minister or prime minister, whatever. Oh, free deta rahega, humko lagega ki free mein maza aa raha hai. But that free is coming from your money only, and then later something that you actually want, you will not get. Right. So that's why I'm saying this. So imagine in Israel, they will not say like this. We really need to follow these people. In modern times, Israel is, at least for me, my guru, as in terms of their whatever, they're at least they have a lot of affinity, to that nation and everything. Okay, anyway, any other point, final point?
Yeah, if anyone last question, then we can end.
Yes, sir.
Who's there?
Mahesh over here.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mahesh.
Sorry, I'm late. Sir, what would you say if India was in United Security Council? Would it be a different situation? Because right now, United Nations is like just a puppet in the hands of United Security Council members, like China or China, US, and Russia, because they have veto power. If we like, you think like we should remove the veto power?
Yeah, actually, see, this system is unfortunately frozen. See, the problem is they made a system in 1948 after the Second World War, where they made these 5 people veto permanent members in Security Council. But let me tell you one thing, let's not take it too seriously also. Even if we are not added in it, which they will not, because China will not allow, right?
China won't allow.
China has a veto, right? They will never allow us to be part of the Security Council. So I don't see how it is possible in the near time unless this whole But let me tell you another important thing, that nobody cares a damn about this United Nations. I'll seriously tell
Nowadays.
you. It sounds too arrogant for me to say that, but that's a fact of the matter. Nobody cares about this. You see, all wars are going on everywhere. Whoever wants to fight is fighting. Right? What is happening? Are they able to really stop anything? Even this WHO, all these people. It's like these very big international organizations now, they just get caught up in some old structure that they have made, not ready to transform. Nothing much really happens from it. We only have to manage all our show. And fortunately, our government also understands that nicely. Things are going on.
But
So everyone
it would be good
knew.
for us. See, actually, it should be the sense of the United Nations that they should understand that, see, India is not just from population perspective second in the world. Even in GDP, now we are almost, I don't know what, fifth or something, right? Currently. And very soon we would be third. That's the prediction. I mean, very soon we would overtake all this Germany and others. And at least in terms of total GDP, we would only be behind US and China. Okay. So the point is, and we have a favorable demography in terms of good amount of young people, everything we have. So they should, but then they will not. So it's okay. So let's go on. Nothing can stop us from progressing.
But sir, the thing is like it matters to the African countries now, because when we were progressing, UN helped us a lot in a way, whether it was directly or indirectly, but they helped us in a way, in a sense. So right now the same thing goes for the African countries. Right now the thing, they are trapped in China's debts policies, or like many other countries are using up for them for their benefits.
No, I didn't get his entire question. Rishabh, can you repeat? I lost part of it. I lost some words in the middle, so I didn't get the continuity.
He's telling that in the past, in some way, directly or indirectly, we were helped by UN, not in a very big substantial way, but whatever it was, their help was there. Similarly, is there with the African countries now. So then, what will be your stance on that?
Yeah, I agree. Certainly, it would be great to be part of United Nations Security Council permanent, but that's not going to happen. I mean, they diplomatically they're trying, but because the politics is such that at least one country we have, our neighbor China, who will never allow us. So
Even
I think
everyone knew about this, that like COVID also, that it came from China, then and China has fooled WHO. So yeah, so
I think
yeah,
it
as
was
you
only Trump. It was only Trump who was
was
honestly saying that Chinese virus. Others were not even saying that. They
saying
gave a
that,
very fancy name
yeah,
for COVID-19 and all that.
correct.
So I think he was at once at least not afraid of China to call it out properly. He was calling it Chinese virus openly.
Yeah. So as
But
you
no one
told
else
that
said that.
nobody is really taking it seriously nowadays, at least we can see now.
Yeah, no one takes United Nations too seriously. We need not bother much about it. I think should we
Yeah.
end? I mean, are we done with?
Yes. So thank you everyone for joining in and for being so interactive. And thank you, sir, for all your comments. It was great to hear from you after a long time. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all participants.
Thank
It
you.
was really great to have you all. All the points you made, your guidance you gave us through your words. It was really precious. Also, I would like to request all the participants to fill the feedback form, and we are arranging some more sessions. So do register. Link for it is given in the chat box. So please do the thing. And thank you again very much. Thank you, Rishabh sir. Thank you, SB sir. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello, Shantanu. Hello. Hello, Pajit. Are you there? Hello guys, the meeting is over for all. You can left as the host is not available on his PC. So he will end the meeting after some time. So you all can start leaving.
असं तू शिकशील बरं.
हा शिकेल. आज जरा कचरा झाला.
काय म्हणला?
आज थोडा कचरा झाला, नेक्स्ट टाइम अजून बेटर करू.
ठीक आहे होतं स्टार्टिंगला सगळ्यांचं तसंच होतं. चल ऑल द बेस्ट. बोलू नंतर आम्ही बाहेर आलो जरा. चल बाय.